Good morning, guys. This is Efrain with Know Your Work TV, and today we got a special guest. Always look at people in the community, people that are giving back and also have overcome the odds. And today we got no one better than Orange County Judge, also Circuit Judge, Judicial Circuit Judge, and she'll tell us more about it. But Gisela, how you doing today?
Good morning, Efrain. How you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. It's been a long time, and I just love to see where you've been going on this whole journey of yours, from owning your own law firm to being an Orange County judge to now judicial. Is that correct? Is that the terminology that you're now?
I am
Circuit judge?
Circuit Judge, yes.
Okay, cool. So tell us a little bit more about you. What got you into this field? How did it all get started for you?
All right. Well, it's funny because our parents have such a big influence on us, right? So
Yep.
my dad at a young age would always tell me two things. You need to be a professional woman, which meant to him a professional woman was either a doctor or a lawyer. And I cannot see blood. I will pass out. So I was like, doctor track is not going to be for me. It's going to have to be
I'm the
something.
same. Yeah, no blood.
No blood. Don't ever come ask me to help you when you're bleeding, because I will not be good help. And then, my dad had a small body shop, and, the Hispanic community in the early 80s was really close knit here in Orlando, and everybody knew each other. So they would go to my dad as a resource to help them find things in the community, like who was the best travel agent, where do you go to get Spanish food, and the Spanish restaurants people come here. And so I knew that I would help others, and I could be a guiding post for those who felt lost.
And I mean, I love it, the community aspect of it. So before you actually became judge, did you know the process? Is that why you took up law? Or did you just say, I want to become a lawyer, open up my own law firm, and then work my way up? How did that all get started for you?
I always say my mom prays a lot for me, so I'm super blessed. I never really got to plan it because, when you don't come up from a family that can show you that, where are you gonna get it from? TV? I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
I knew I had to do good in school so I could be a professional, and I did that. And as I got, and I knew I wanted to be a judge. So whatever that was gonna be. And when I got into high school, I talked to my counselor. They're like, you have to go to law school. Even then, I still didn't know all the steps. I went to college and I studied. They told me for law school, you can study whatever you want to do. And since my parents both had small businesses, I said, okay, I'll do business, because that way, if I ever have to have my own law firm, I'll know how to run it. And so I did business administration in undergrad. And one day I was just walking past a sign that says, are you going to law school? Here's a meeting for test prep for the LSAT. And I was like, sure, I didn't even know you had to take a test. So if I wouldn't have walked by that sign, I would have been like, it's time to sign up for law school. And they're like, where's your LSAT? I'm like, I don't know. So I walked past the sign. I went to the informational meeting. I signed up for the prep review. And I remember, I told my dad, Papi, I'm going to take this test. It's so I can go to law school. And we were all both excited about it. I'm like, I need to make an appointment to get my hair done and my nails and after to celebrate that I did this. And I was crying the whole time. The lady was doing my hair. I was crying. The lady doing my nails. I was like, I'm not going to law school. I'm failing this thing. My dad was, back then I had a little phone for emergencies only, my Ericsson flip phone. And he was calling me.
The old times.
Yep. And it didn't even have ignore. It said end. I was like, end. And I was like, I'm not. And I answered the phone like, Papi, forget it. I'm not going to law school. That test was crazy, mad hard. I'm not passing this. I'm not passing that test. It's not happening. I can forget about it.
So were you the first to graduate?
I was the first
from college in your family?
From high school and from college in my immediate family.
Oh, so you felt like that you had a big burden on your back, like you had to really carry the family, take them to the next level.
Yes. Yeah, it was a lot of stress. My parents didn't put that stress on me. They always wanted me to be the best that I could be. I would think I put that stress on myself because I wanted to be a good example for my sisters. And so
that's good. No, listen, that's an amazing thing. And you did it. So it's even better that you were able to accomplish all that and really leave something for them as well as now your kids. For your kids being able to see, what you've done. I think that's the most important thing, is that parents nowadays need to leave that for their children. A lot of times we do it for our family, but sometimes they're so stuck in their own ways anyway, and that's what I've just noticed, caring for my family and wanting them to do great. Sometimes we just have to do great and hopefully it influences them, but it's more important about your kids. Is that correct?
No, oh yes, yes, yes. And it's funny because, in my family, I have a wide, most Hispanic families, I have a wide variety of people in my family of who have done this and have done that. And I always tell my kids, like, listen, you don't come from a privileged lifestyle. Like, not everybody in your life, in your family, like, went to school. You're one step away from going right back, because
Yeah, for
you don't
sure.
keep on moving forward. And so my daughters always, felt the pressure that they had to beat me. And I said, you don't have to beat me. You have to do you.
Yeah,
But
just be great.
I said, you better be able to afford yourself. That's all I'm saying.
That part. Um, so let's kind of go back. So you went to law school, you became a judge, but most importantly, if I'm not mistaken, we come from the same neighborhood. You're from the Pine Hills area, was that correct?
Yes, yes.
So that was also another big thing is to know that I had to also put on for my community. Is that correct?
Yeah, you always want to give back. I mean,
Yeah.
to me, that's how, I always say, like, you don't have to learn how to say no because
Yep.
your time is so valuable. But I can't say no to something that has to do with giving back to my community. And just to be, a light for kids that were like me, who didn't know what the path was, who didn't think that it was possible. And I'll give you an example. There's a certain and I won't name the after school program, but there's an after school program that I know. And the lady who runs it for high schools is amazing. She's amazing. And she's helping the kids, get ready for college and do their law school, their college applications that, many people don't know how to do,
Yeah.
all the financial aid information. And so it's a great after school program, but I'll tell you that there's a lot of parents, minority parents from Pine Hills that will not let their kids go to the after school program because the kid has to go home, take care of the other kids while the parent is working. The kid has to cook and clean and all this stuff. And so they say, no, I'm not going to let my kid go to this after school program that's going to help them get into college because my kid needs to take care of his sisters and brothers. And that's a problem, So ultimately, each parent gets to decide for their own child. But I like to be there for kids like that to encourage them and motivate them and say, no matter what your obstacles are and how hard it is right now, you're still going to make it.
So just really to touch on it, I agree. I agree that because I was one of those kids that I felt, and life is what it is. You just take what you got and you create something out of it. But I remember those exact moments for myself where it was those teachers, it was those people at schools that were really trying to push me. While at home, I wasn't able to do the after school programs I wanted to do. I wasn't able to play the sports I wanted to do because the exact reason I had to take care of my sister, I had to make sure I was home, I had to do this. So it's great that there is people like yourself and even the lady that you're mentioning that are out there and giving back to the community. I know how important it is. I've put on the community events and at times they need to see people like us, people that they can relate to, people that care for them and want them to see great. So
Mm-hmm.
applause to yourself and to the other that you mentioned. Um, through this journey at any time, did you feel that this is just may not be for me? This is tough. I wanted to quit.
Well, of course, it's funny because, and I tell this story just because I think it's going to resonate for a lot of people. When growing up in Pine Hills, a lot of my friends, my girlfriends, my best friends, had their babies early and they got
Hmm.
pregnant in high school. Like even my sister, she had my nephew when she was 15. So when I was
Right.
in high school, people thought, like when I didn't graduate with any kids, they thought like, what? Gisela probably can't have any babies. I'm like, I can probably have babies, but I'm not trying to have babies right now. And
Yep.
so I went to college, and yet again, I didn't have any children. So now people started really thinking that I was sterile. And I graduated from college, and then I ended up having a baby, and I had two babies. I got married, had two kids. My track was always to go to law school, but now here I am. My dad was very disappointed in me, and he was just saying, like, well, now you're never going to go to law school. Forget
How old
about
were you around this time?
22. 22 and 23 when I had my first two kids. And it was almost like I started to think, well, now I can't think about myself. I have
Yeah.
to work. I have to pay bills. I have to take care of children. Like, I'm really not going to be able to go to law school. But I would see my dad and he was so disappointed. And I felt crushed that I had disappointed him. My mom, she always loved me for no matter what. I could have been a seamstress and she would have been happy with me. I don't care. So, but my dad, seeing the disappointment on his face of always having that dream with me that I was going to be a judge. And now, I was just a college graduate with two babies and basically living with him again. So,
And then for other people, it would be like, wow, what an accomplishment. You were able to do college. To me, it's almost the right steps, right? You went to school, you went to college, you had these kids. now on to your next chapter in your life.
Yeah, but it was hard. So I ended up saying, you know what, Dad, I'm going to apply to go to law school and I'm going to prove you wrong and I'm going to do this. I'm going to finish. And I got the letter in the mail and I was like, look, I got into the law school. And he's like, you're not going to be able to go with 2 babies. And I was like, yes, I am. And so I started law school with a 6-month-old and an almost 2-year-old. They were only 11 months apart. And it was hard. It was hard, but I was not going to quit and I was not going to let my dad win. So
That's good. No, I mean, that's definitely a good story to hear for those that have kids. And you hear all the stories all the time, right? Parents kind of give up on their dreams and their future. And I'm that person now that I'm like, yeah, I have a daughter, but now it excites me even more. Now I really got to, start putting that drive in and get to the next level in in my chapter. So that's great, man. I'm happy to know that you didn't quit, because where would you be today if you would have quit? If you would have listened to those around you, even sometimes those closest to you that would tell you you can't do it.
exactly.
And you did it for yourself. You didn't really do it for anybody else. Of course, it is always great to prove somebody wrong, but in reality, you did it for yourself and for your family. So I commend you on something like that because here you are today. Um, but did you? So we mentioned you said you didn't always want to be a judge. You did always want to be a judge.
I did. I mean, ultimately, as soon as I figured that I wanted to go into law, I knew I wanted to be a community leader. So that meant to me that I was going to be a judge where everybody came to at the end of the day for their problems and that the judge resolved them.
So what was the time frame from you starting your own law firm to actually becoming a judge?
So then that's the thing, you always think, and it should be that way, that the judge is a very experienced person that people come to, and they're able to look at the law, look at the facts, and apply them and make a decision. And so you definitely got to get that real world experience first. So I started out at the public defender's office, and I loved that job, but I couldn't afford to stay there because I had the babies. And I was a single mom, so I had to get like a real job, that paid bills. And so I did 10 months at the public defender's office, and then I had to leave, and I went into private practice. But that private practice was amazing. It really gave me a chance to, be able to support my family, work, and because of us being, true bilinguals, we grew up in homes where our parents didn't speak English. We had to speak Spanish. I was embraced by the community when I started practicing law because they really had a thirst for, Hispanic attorneys that they can communicate, express themselves with, not through a translator, but that they can just sit down, drink coffee, and talk to that person and tell them what their problem is. And you give them the confidence that, you can overcome this problem together. So at the firm that I joined, I created a huge book of business, and I was always very busy. Like there's so many times I couldn't even eat lunch because I would rather see a client than even stop to eat. And, I was grinding until I was with that firm for about 8 years. And then I opened up my own law firm.
So at any time during that time, did you feel like, am I doing the right thing? Did you ever have that question to yourself?
It's funny because I was always working for the next goal. Like I'm very goal and, oriented. So when I was at that firm working there, I was on track. Like I wanted to make partner. But at the end of the day, that firm was a small firm, and I think the structure didn't really allow for someone to make partner at any given time. It wasn't me. I had to realize that. And once I was able to realize that I had reached my ceiling with that firm, then I was like, it's time for me to leave my comfort zone, like, being in the nest where someone else at that firm, they're responsible for the bill, they're responsible for the marketing, they're responsible for everything, and you just come to work and hustle. I said, no, now it's time for me to expand so I can have the flexibility for my family to be on my own schedule, take the clients that I want to take, and grow. And so when I opened up my own law firm, I took it back. I was working downtown Orlando, like nice, big, fancy office. I said, no, I'm going back to my people. So I went and opened my law firm in Metro West, and it blew up. It was amazing.
And sorry, you may have said this, but how long did you spend doing your own firm before you actually got appointed to be a judge?
Did I ever count it? I was from 2011 to 2016.
Wow, so about 5 years before. And so take us on that journey. Like, so you open up your own practice, it's doing well for you. And then was it an opening that arise, or after those 5 years, you said, you know what, I want to I got uncomfortable again. You got uncomfortable and said, I want to take it to the next level. Is that how it all happened, or take us on that journey?
Yeah, well, it's actually the path to my own firm was the path to the bench, because when I was at the old firm, he was it was a big firm, and so basically they had almost unlimited money for marketing. They would always keep me busy, and I didn't have time to focus on my path to the bench because I was always working on the cases that I had, and it was a lot.
Okay.
So when I decided to open up my own firm, it was so that I would have my flexible schedule so that I could work on my path to the bench. And so they went hand in hand. And there's two ways that you can become a judge. You can be appointed by the governor, or you can get elected by the people. And so at first, I thought I'd try to get appointed by the governor because I always still to this day think that's a very honorable thing. You've been gone through a selection committee locally, you go through a selection committee in Tallahassee, you go through the governor's desk, and then they decide who they want to choose, and that's like an honor. So I was trying to apply for an appointment, but you have to wait for a judge to retire or a seat to become available. So I was working, being patient, waiting for my turn, and I applied a few times for the appointment process, and it was a wonderful experience. But then I realized that I'm also a people person, and I'm very strong in the community. And if this is something that I really want, don't be afraid to go ask the community to give it to you. And so I decided to sign up for an election, and through the hard work of my team and the community supporting me, at the end of the day, I was unopposed. And so that meant that I was going to be a judge the following year. In 2016, in April, I found out that I was unopposed. So then I had to wind down my business, close everything, and then start in January.
Wow. So being a judge, you just give up everything you've created in a sense, but you've received such a great honor. Is that correct?
Yes. I mean, ultimately you leave behind, your private practice, which many times for me, was very profitable. And the clients, are sad because they don't want to let you go. They trust you, they depend on you. And that's why I worked so hard to complete my cases before I closed out my firm. And then you go into a life of being a servant. You serve the community. I'm here to serve in the courtroom. I'm here to serve in the community by being an influence. I'm here to teach people, civic education. And so you're really just a humble servant to the community.
So don't skip past it, because you didn't just become a judge. You became the first Hispanic judge in Orange County. How did that feel for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think, people say trailblazing a lot. I think that for me, it's just blazing a trail for others. I don't think that I'm a trailblazer per se, but I do like to be the influence to say, hey, you know what? If you want something really bad and you try to get it, it doesn't work out, don't give up. Just find another avenue, which is what I did when I, ran for campaign. And you can do it. We are so strong. And I remember that from my business school in college, that my professor, he was like this country hillbilly. He was so funny, but he said, Latinos, Hispanics have to appreciate their worth, because not only is the community growing stronger and stronger, but employers, businesses need that input, that perspective in order to move forward, or they're going to be stuck. And there was examples of AT&T commercials and different commercials of people who left out the Hispanic influence and were undercut by the companies. And so I love going back to my community and saying, listen, you have a life experience and a perspective that is invaluable. And for you to take that, whatever it's going to be, a judge, a lawyer, a doctor, and bring that out and bring it back to your community, so your community knows that, oh, that person's just like me. They feel more comfortable right away. And it is a valuable service that you can give. So I can't tell you how many times as a judge, I've seen people come into my courtroom and they see that I'm Latina, and they're like, right away, they feel more comfortable. There's integrity to the process. They don't feel like, I'm not sure what's going to happen here. They just feel better about the integrity of the bench as a whole.
So you did so well doing county that what was the next step for you that you reached? Another amazing accomplishment.
I always had my heart on serving as a circuit court judge, just because of the practice that I had and the issues that are there. For example, now I get to serve in a family law division, which is what I did in private practice. And, in order for you to move up, once you're in the lower division, you have to get appointed by the governor, or you have to resign from your seat and run again. So I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to stop doing what I was doing. I thought it was important for me to be in the community. So I had to apply for an elevation by the governor to circuit court. And it was a very good experience. Got to meet a lot of different people, and ultimately get appointed after meeting the governor. And I'll
The
always.
first time.
No, I applied a few times. So I think I applied 5 times before I became a judge, and 5 times after I became.
Wow.
So 10 times over a span of 10 years before I got to be a circuit court judge.
That never give up mentality.
Yes. Yes.
What they call it, the Mamba mentality, right?
Yes.
No, that's amazing. That's amazing. I mean, I'm pretty sure you've seen people that after the first or second time would actually just call it quits. So it's amazing. Someone like you, someone of color, someone that's a female like you truly are an inspiration. You're an inspiration for those little girls that look up to you. And I know you feel it all the time. And sometimes you may not, but I want you to know that looking at someone like you, because we are both Hispanic, it's amazing to see where same community, where you reach, the level of success that you reach, all doing this while still being a mother of 4 kids. So that's definitely an amazing accomplishment. If no one's told you, I'm pretty sure you hear it all the time, but
Thank you.
so there's little girls just like you, right? There's even little boys that may want to be a judge and don't know, just need some advice. What is some advice that you can give them through the journey that you've had?
Well, I think first and foremost, you have to make the grades. At the end of the day, you can be an amazing person, but the first thing that a school is going to look at is your grades. So and that goes with putting in hard work. When I see somebody either applying to come be an intern for me, I don't so much care about a bad grade here or there. What I care about is consistently showing that they work hard. And so that's going to be in your grade. 2, get out there in your community so you can see what the needs of your community are. It's important to have that life perspective of, where you're at, and take that with you when you get older or you're in your profession. And I think the last thing that's important is know how to be, a people person, because a lot of people, that saying like, it's not what you know, it's who you know. There's a grain of truth of that, and ultimately you have to build good relationships, even starting in high school, because you're going to ask your teachers for letters of recommendation. I still keep in touch with some of my high school teachers. And so it's very important to have that strong relationship that you can come back to. And you don't want to go ask somebody something when you need something only. You want to have that relationship intact. So when you do need to ask for something, they have no problem doing it for you. So, put in the work, whatever that's going to be, even if you're not going to go to college, so it's not going to be your grades, then you have, a portfolio of whatever you do. If you're an artist, you have a portfolio of artwork that you put in. If you're like a welder, you have examples of things that you weld. If it's school, then it's your grades, but put in the hard work in the forefront, and, know what you're talking about. So be out there in the communities to see what it is that you're going to be talking about, and build those relationships. That's going to be key.
Yeah, I think it's important that when you said relationships, I always say like network is your net worth. Like you really got to go out there and network. You got to not burn bridges. I think it's so important. And a lot of times people ask me that same question, like, how were you able to do this? How were you able to do this? And it wasn't because I had the money to do so, but it's because someone believed in me. And someone that had the money was willing to invest. A lot of times it's as simple as that, is you really doing what your purpose is. And it looks like this whole time you've been on your purpose. Like this was all destined for you at this point. So that's huge. That's definitely huge.
You said something that reminded me of something, and I'm going to show you. It's almost probably embarrassing. It's even bigger. Let's see. This is keeping it real with Gisela Laurent here.
That's it. We got to keep it real for those watching. This is a lot of times I feel like social media gives you all the glory, right? Shows you all the great things, but there's so much work that someone really puts in. And you sharing your story today, there was a lot of work before you became Orange County Judge. Yeah. Before you got appointed by the governor. There's been a track record of, almost 15 plus years of you putting in that grind to get where you're at today. People don't see that. They just see that you became judge.
Let me show you something, okay? Like I said, this is embarrassing, but I'm showing you guys this. This is networking. Cards in a desk that you don't even know about.
Listen.
That's networking, okay? Don't do that. It's relationship building. It's about you went to all of these events and you got all of these cards. Like, what are you going to do about it? And this is not, this is
That's
just one
funny.
that I thought were important that made it to my desk. There's a lot of them that got thrown away, but you really do need to make sure that you're not just keeping cards as, I don't even know what, I mean, I could probably throw these away. I don't even know when I met these people, but I'll meet them. I'll get the card. I like, it was very nice. You're nice knowing you. And then you don't follow up. You don't build that relationship. This doesn't do anything for you. This doesn't do
Yeah,
anything for you.
that's funny. I got a whole folder as well with a whole bunch of business cards myself, and they just sit there. They just in a folder in my file cabinet. I have to do the same thing, discard them because I honestly don't know where I met these people. So, so that's so funny that you brought that up. So don't feel too bad. I have the same thing. If I wasn't too far from it, I'll
We
bring it on
always
camera.
do. Because we think that we need to get out there. We need to meet people. And yes, some people will going to remember. But if you really want to build relationships, it has to be more than just this. It has to be that you went out there, even if you, when you walk away from that encounter, like someone had told me and I didn't do it, is that you go on there and write like where you met that person, something about them that they told you about themselves, and then you follow up. And
Wow, that's good.
not every meeting is going to become a relationship, but you got to put in your effort.
Yeah,
This
you never know.
this was not too much effort. I
No,
do
yeah,
good
you never know.
relationships, but these didn't make
Okay, so definitely a great journey. I love to know that it was, and I already knew, but I'm happy that you were able to share with others that this has been a hell of a journey for you. And which is why you're so humbled about the whole situation. It wasn't handed to you. You put in the work. There was a lot of times maybe you wanted to quit and ask yourself, is this really for me? But clearly, Know Your Worth TV. What was that Know Your Worth moment that made you realize that there was no giving up, that I had to continue no matter what the circumstance was?
It's funny because, you and I mentioned it, we're both parents. And I think that know your worth moment, as much as I do in the community, was really when my kids were applying for college, my two older girls. And it was really stressful, one, because they wanted to go to, I went to the University of Florida, go Gators. And they wanted to go to the same school. So we had to do the application process. And then, we were worried about her getting in or not getting in. And she did get in. Then we had to worry about the only a year apart, worry about the other one getting in, not getting in. She did get in. And then when I saw that both of my girls were in college, they were at my alma mater, that, we had to work so hard, the three of us together. And now here they were. I really felt like this is some next level stuff. Like, I got to make sure that my girls do good. I got to be there with them. Like, we're moving up together. And I really felt that there was no quitting, because if I quit, they quit. Like, I went to college, they went to college. Like, I was a real world example for them, and I couldn't let them down. So the hustle keeps going.
That's it. That's it. Do you have any goals in the next 5 years that you want to share, to we can go back 5 years from now and actually see that it was manifested?
I don't know. I mean, ultimately,
Because you said goals. So what is the next goal?
I
Like,
know. Sometimes you wonder, like, should you say? Should you not say? Ultimately, I really truly love what I'm doing, but there are levels to the judges here. So, I did county court, I did circuit court. 5 years from now, I would love to be either in appellate court or maybe in federal court. So, I do love what I do. It's an amazing blessing to be able to do this, but you do love to, like anybody, just, what you perceive as moving up the ladder of success. I mean, some people love being in county. That's what they want to do. Some people love being in circuit. That's what they want to do. I could completely see myself, going to appellate court or to federal court. And that would be an amazing achievement, especially because in federal court, you have the least diversity of all courts, and they really do need to have more diversity.
that's it. No, I love it. I love that you're bringing diversity into everything that you do. We need it. We need it, especially in the county that we're in. We definitely need the diversity. So it's amazing that you're that person, you're that role model. But it's been a pleasure. I appreciate you taking some of your time. I know right after this you got a court hearing. That's how busy she is, guys. That's how busy she's putting in the work. She gave me some of her time. But
Yeah.
it's definitely been an honor to chit chat with you. I know we've been years since we spoke last, but I've seen all the success through social media, and because of that, I definitely wanted to chit chat with you and give an inspiration to others and empower them to be just as great. So thank you for your time. Guys, don't forget to subscribe, share with your friends. I mean, this is knowledge from entrepreneurs, people in your own city and county that are sharing their stories and their know your worth moments. Until next time.
Bye, everybody. Take care.